right, I'd like to call our meeting to order for the regular agenda of Town of Pierson on Tuesday, March the 4th at 6:30 p.m. Yvonne, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mayor Gray Leonard.
Here.
Vice Mayor Robert Greenland.
Here.
Council Member Jimmy Anderson.
Here.
Councilwoman Lenny Richardson.
Here.
Councilwoman Brandy Peterson.
Here.
Town Attorney Scott Simpson.
Here.
Town Planner Mark Critt.
Here.
And Ryan and myself are present.
Okay. Lenny, would you please lead us in the invocation tonight?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, I want to come to you tonight with great thanks for this glorious spring day you have bestowed upon our wonderful community. Dear Lord, I ask that you please always protect our citizens and all that may pass through our wonderful town. Dear Lord, I ask that you especially bless anyone that is involved with the inner workings of our wonderful community. Dear Lord, I ask of you to please give us guidance and wisdom as we consider the business before us tonight. And I ask these things in your great name. Amen.
Amen. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Item number 4 on our meeting started is approval of the minutes for our regular meeting on February the 18th. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at those minutes? If so, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Been a motion made to approve by Councilmember Brandy Pierson. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Mayor Robert F. Greenland. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes are carried. Number 5, item A, the Pierson Elementary School request to use Chipper Jones Park for their off-site parking during the annual Day in May event. Kim Hutcherson was supposed to be here.
No,
She's not? Okay.
She just sent the email. We do it every year.
All right, so we've always done this in the past. Does anybody have any discussion about this? Entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve by Vice Mayor Robert F. Greenland. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Lenny R. Richardson. Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So passed. Item number 5B, destruction of public right-of-ways, and that will be Councilwoman Lenny R. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure everyone has seen it. We're having issues with people in four-wheelers and trucks, vehicles, absolutely destroying our right-of-ways. It's a matter of time before one of them hits. We all know the water lines aren't all 10 foot deep, right? It's a matter of time before one of our main lines gets hit. So I was going to ask Scott, is there anything we can do via ordinance, whatever, to protect our right-of-ways from destruction?
We could look at adopting restrictions on what you do within the right-of-ways. The thing that jumps out is obviously the right-of-ways are designed for vehicular driving on them. You could also, if we don't have any use for the right-of-way, you can vacate them. We could also vacate the right-of-way and just retain underground utility easement. And we could do that as well. But I think what you're looking for is we could put, I guess we would have to adopt an ordinance and then post saying that there's no certain types of vehicular, four-wheelers, things like that, driving on the right-of-ways, on the unimproved right-of-ways. Because that's what we're talking about, unimproved right-of-ways, I assume?
It's the right of way on the edge of our paved streets.
Yes.
So on the sides.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just off the pavement.
Right.
We have Volusia County Sheriff's Office here now, and are there any traffic laws that we could use to help enforce or protect our right-of-ways from the things being destroyed? I don't know how familiar you are with our streets.
Which streets are you talking about?
Well, the two I think we're mainly talking about is Frederick Street and Hagstrom Road.
Hagstrom Road,
Road and Frederick, yeah.
Those are the two main ones, I think.
and West Hagstrom, and County Road 3.
Okay?
Yeah.
Are you talking about the right of way as in the side of the road?
The edge of the right-of-way.
Yes.
Okay.
If you go down Frederick Street, is right in the middle of town, right where that little pond is. They've been driving off of that for quite a while, and they've just about destroyed the edge of that road.
Yeah, so with that, because there's not a legitimate purpose for a vehicle to be there, if you do find vehicles driving up through there frequently, you can call us and we'll do EPs there, make sure no one drives it, and if they do drive it, they can get some form of a ticket, because it's designed for people to pull off if their vehicle is disabled, or for emergency vehicles, it's not made to be driven on.
Right.
So as long as if it's not a motor vehicle, there's not much we can do. But if it's a motor vehicle using that as a way to get around certain traffic enforcing things like stop signs or stoplights, they can.
What they're using it for is for mudding.
Yes.
They can.
And I actually pointed that out to one of our deputies, Billy, and he has sat on that thing a couple of days. I've actually seen him there, but it's one of those things that it can happen, and you can pull there 5 minutes later and see the signs of it, but unless you actually see them in there. But if you could, I think maybe give those right-of-ways some special attention, maybe check them as frequently as you can, especially maybe about the time school's getting out.
Sure.
I think that's when a lot of it's happening, because I see the trucks and stuff going by my house there at Frederick Second.
We could post it if you want to post it, no vehicles or something like that allowed. Especially if there's a law that prohibits what they're doing, other than emergency vehicles, stuff like that, broken down vehicles.
Okay.
That one particular area by that pond, I think we need to post that. I'll see you, sir. I think that we need to put something there, because I'm worried about somebody actually getting hurt there, running off in the pond, plus they're destroying the edge of that road, so.
Are they still messing with that area?
They're
Because
not doing it.
Hagstrom, they stay on Hagstrom. That little place on Hagstrom, they rip it up every day.
They're not doing Frederick by the little pond as frequently as they were, but I know I'm like you on Hagstrom. I don't know if they do it daily or not, but they do
No,
it
they're
a
there
lot.
quite a bit, especially if the little bit of rainfall falls.
If the sheriff's office could give that some extra attention and maybe pass it on to the other deputies,
Yeah, we can do that.
we would greatly appreciate it. And maybe if one of them can get a ticket, it'll nip it in the bud.
Even Little Hagstrom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, West Hagstrom.
Right, West.
There at that corner,
Oh, yeah.
they've always played in there.
Yep.
Because they know they can spin it up and still come out.
Get out, yeah. Yes, sir, can you come up to the podium, please?
Lester Pulley, 363 North Pine Street. Can you put a game camera there, like a trail camera? It may be the same people doing it over and over again. You get some vehicle descriptions and some tags and stuff, and just go visit them at their house, tell them to knock it off.
We could probably there's a place on the one by that pond, we could probably find a place to put a
You
trail
put one
cam
across the
there.
road on one of them trees
Yeah.
right there.
I think that would probably be a pretty good, an easy spot to put one, maybe even on Hagstrom if you have that.
I'll have to
right
look and see if there's,
Put it across the road from
and-
there where they rip it up.
Don't we have a few game
Yeah.
cameras not being used? Well, maybe we can put them to use. That's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more discussion on this?
I have none.
I agree, we need to take care of it. Okay, item number 5C, it's the raking of the ball fields at Chipper Jones Park. Councilman Jimmy Anderson.
Yes. I got several things about that, Greg. The boys here pretty quick is gonna be busier than right now.
Oh, I
Right
know.
now, they find it, they've got time to do a lot of that. But here pretty quick, when that mowing really gets going, I know, I've been out there for many a year, and I come back and put in a many a hour part-time, trying to keep that park area and the sides of the road mowed. So I know it takes a lot of time for that.
Well, I have spoke to the boys about that because they do it with a zero turn instead of a tractor with a bush hog behind it. And half of that all can be mowed with the tractor and the
That's
bush
right.
hog,
That's what I was
except
fixing to bring up
for
here shortly.
when there's 4th of July. Yeah, you probably need to run over it and tighten it up some, but all this other time, I mean, they're wasting a whole bunch of time driving it with a
We're
that
wearing out
zero
in
turn.
zero turns, mowing right in town from the dollar store, the old bank, back this
Well, like the
way.
city streets.
That's fine. But to mow all that the other way and back this way, you can do it with that tractor
A whole lot faster.
and do it a lot faster, you're right.
Well, and it's also,
And it'll mow it
more
just
economic.
enough to keep it down. We've been mowing it, and I did it myself while I was part-time. Mow all day, several days over here around the park, and then get out there and mow the sides of the road. And all we're doing is wearing out them zero turn. If we use them just for the main stuff right here and the ball fields,
I think we
we
need,
wouldn't have near as much repairs on them mowers either.
I think we ought to make as much use out of the tractor with the bush hog as we possibly can. I agree with that 100%.
Right.
On the raking of those ball fields, on the infields, on the clay,
You don't need to rake them ball fields. All you gotta do is run back over them with the mower, and it'll scatter that stuff out. You don't have to get out there and rake them.
But you're talking about raking the clay.
You,
He's talking about raking the clay.
yes,
Yes.
the clay infield is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I thought, when you talked about raking the ball fields, I thought you were talking about raking the clay on the infield.
no, they got that ball machine to do that.
Right.
Only thing you gotta rake is a little bit around
Just
the
around the
base.
bases?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that's what we were, no, they don't need to do any raking on the grass. I mean, we've never
Well,
have raked it, and I don't
Lewis said
think we
that-
need to.
That, you come over there and told him, you and, his name just slipped my
You
mind.
talking about the guy from the county,
No,
Stacy?
Stacy,
We're talking,
said y'all told him to rake the grass.
no,
I said,
absolutely
"Lewis,
not.
we ain't never raked the grass.
No, that is not factual. And if they understood it that way, I don't
Well,
know how
he
they did
raked
it.
it. Now,
No.
I'm telling you, and I told him, I said, no,
No,
you don't rake the grass on the
No,
ball field.
no.
You can run back over them if they're
Let me tell
plumped
you.
up a little bit.
listen, let me tell you the only thing that happened there, and we're gonna discuss this more Wednesday. Whenever Lewis mowed the outfield, it was right field on the number 1 ball field. When he pulled out of there, he mowed it when the grass was wet. And when he pulled out of there, it looked like 2 mud tire tracks going across the baseline, running towards the right field fence line. And when I first saw it, when I just rode by, it looked like it had been spun. And so I got out and looked at it, and it hadn't been. He carried the grass with him when he came out. And all I asked Lewis to do was to just rake those tracks out so it wouldn't be covering up the baseline. Now, how he got out of that, rake the whole infield, I don't know. But I agree with you, to rake the whole infield on those ball fields is ludicrous. I mean,
We
no,
got enough of time.
I don't know how he got that impression,
Well,
but that is absolutely not what was relayed to him.
maybe he caught it the
Stacy-
wrong way that you was talking.
Stacy was with me, we looked at it, that is absolutely not what was relayed to him. All I wanted him to do was just knock those tire tracks out, and that was it. There was two little tracks about that long, but it was right on top of the baseline. And that was all that was brought up about that. So, no, I don't expect him to rake outfield or any of the infield or anything else.
Right. I mean, I don't have a thing wrong with helping the Little League
Oh, I
with the ball
understand.
field. We've done it for years.
Right. Oh, I thought,
And-
when you brought this up, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I thought you were talking about raking the clay. And the
No.
day that we met over there, Stacy, the whole purpose of Stacy being there was so he would know how that machine worked that they used to drag the clay, so the Little League could help us drag those infields. As you say, our guys are going to be really busy. When we couldn't get to it, the Little League could use that machine to drag the fields out, and that was all that was about.
Right. Well, the thing about that, only thing about that we need to do is get some of the Little League people, if they need to be showed how to run that machine. But two, you got to think about two. We show them how to run that machine, that's fine. But if they get to playing with it, they're gonna tear it
We
up.
want to make sure
And
they're
then the
not.
town's gonna have to fix it.
We want to make sure they absolutely know how to run it, for sure.
Somebody that's got enough of sense to do it.
Right. But that's the whole purpose of Stacy and I were over there at that field that day, was to
And to line the
discuss
ball
about
field,
raking the clay.
you know, when they get through with the clay,
Right.
then to line the ball field. If they need somebody to show them how to do it, I'll be glad to go over there and show them.
I don't think they do. I think Tom Pierson, he's
Tom,
been
when he's
involved in
here,
that,
he told me, I talked to him over there,
and he's,
and I told him, I said, I got an issue with raking the grass on the field. He says, I do too. He said, it ain't never been raked. So, you know, somehow or another, it just got,
Y'all got, yeah.
I don't know how he interpreted it that way at all.
Mixed up.
I have no idea. But that absolutely was not what was relayed to
Well,
him.
I know the town don't have time to pay for all that to be done.
Well, I don't know any baseball fields in Volusia County that anybody rakes the grass.
No.
They mow it.
Well, now, they mow, and if it's clumped up somewhere, they go back and hit it again.
They'll scatter it out,
And
yeah.
scatter it out. I mean, that's,
But even the last time the infields were mowed, Katie, Ruth, and David Van Landingham, they actually mowed the infields with their mowers and they kind of offered to do it, and I said, I think that's going to be a good idea because that's brand new sod, and I don't know how good it's rooted yet.
Right.
And y'all need to mow it however high you want it, because I don't want to send one of my guys over there and
Mow it too low.
rip that sod up and tear it up, so. But the Little League is definitely going to be involved in dragging that clay, as well as, the town people.
And we just probably need to let the boys know that they need to mow that grass after it dries. Instead of trying to do it first thing in the morning. Give it an hour to dry, give it a couple hours.
But that's what caused that one problem that day. It was mowed
To
when it
rip
was wet. And when I just drove by there, I was on the road, and I looked over, and I was like, holy smokes, it looked like it was spun up, but it wasn't. And the only thing I asked Lewis to do was just rake the tire tracks out, and that was it.
well, anyway, that's,
If I need to communicate better to Lewis, let me know, because I can put it in a lot more simpler terms if I need to.
somehow it got turned around.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's absolutely not what was relayed to him.
But I got here on my pad here, the Little League. You just need to talk to some of them and like I talked to Tom. Tom said he could be here for some of the games, but he runs his route every other week or something. So he said he wouldn't be here to be able to take care of a lot of that. But he said, I put a lot of money, and Stacy has too, in the grass. I said, well, the town's put a lot of money over this place for years. It might not look like it now, but before the county took over, we kept them ball fields just as pretty, and there was no sand spurs or nothing in them. But after the county took over mowing and taking care of them there for a long time, you know, it just got that way. So,
And while we're talking about what the Little League's doing, have you noticed, I'm sure you saw those concrete light poles over there?
yeah.
And those were 100% done by the Little League. The town doesn't have any investment in those poles at all. And they're putting up new lights on those poles. And I understand from Stacy that they're all going to be the new latest LED type lights. And we're not going to have any money invested in those lights. It's all being done by the Little League. And
My question about those poles, they don't look very tall.
I don't know if they're
I don't think they're tall enough
They're
either.
not
I've
as
seen
I
them
was
sit.
wondering if that was the bottom piece of the pole, if they're gonna bring 6 more pieces to.
No.
I don't know either, Bobby.
That ain't gonna be
They
good.
looked a little short to me too.
That is
But
not.
don't they have to be a certain spec to be, I mean, isn't there regulations
I
on that?
don't know that they have to be a certain, I mean, I don't know this.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know that they have to be a certain height, but they need to be high enough where the lights are really shining down
And not-
so they don't
Yeah.
Well,
interfere with anybody's
them
vision.
LED lights
Can't be hit by baseballs, right?
will shine.
But that's something that maybe I can get with Lewis or Chris or one of them, and we can pull a tape measure on those poles and just see how long they are.
But I know they're not near as long as the one.
They're not
There.
as long as the ones that's there.
That's for sure.
And here's my thing about it, if they're not gonna be tall enough, then the Little League don't need to waste money mounting lights on them and putting them in the ground. I mean,
Well,
I don't know, I think before they proceed with that, the league or the town needs to see if there's what the Little League specifications are.
they gonna
for the
be
height
as
of the
tall as
lights.
them at the rodeo grounds.
the poles that are laying there now, but I don't know, are the rodeo grounds, they're not as high as the ones on the ball field.
No. That's what I say.
Close.
They're gonna be about the same as the ones at the rodeo
And they're
grounds.
sure not near as tall as those other ones on Richard Peterson Field and on the softball field.
No.
Yeah, I was hoping that was gonna be a 2-part pole, and they were waiting for the second part.
But no, you can look at them.
They're not very tall.
They're all, I don't think they're waiting on another part,
There ain't nothing there to bolt to.
no.
Yeah, right.
I hadn't really paid any attention to I mean, I saw them laying there, and when you ride by, you assume they got poles that are tall enough, but I haven't really measured them, but I will. And I made a note to check Little League regulations to see if they have a pole height.
That'd be smart to do.
Them poles on the Peterson field there,
Oh, they're real high.
They're tall.
they up there.
they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. Well, I think the ones on the softball field are tall like
They are.
that too.
They are.
Okay, well, let's,
But anyway, that's the only thing I've had on
well,
that.
I'll try to make contact with Stacy about the height on those poles, because we definitely don't want to put poles up that are too short. Be a waste of time and money on everybody's part. Anything else?
No, that was all I
Anybody else
had
have
on
any
that.
more discussion?
That's,
Okay, moving on to item 5D. It's a rental agreement and a potential rental of Building 2. I think it's the physical therapy people, right?
Yeah, if you want to talk first, I can talk after.
Okay, well, I'm going to let you go ahead
Well, you got the email, so.
and take care of it. I have an email here from them. It's from Nicholas Lambert. He and his wife have the physical therapy practice over here on First Avenue. And they're interested in renting one of our classroom buildings. And they were talking about Building 2, I believe. And they're going to have to do something because I think their lease is running out where they are, and apparently whoever they're leasing from is not wanting to be very agreeable on leasing it to them again or whatever. Anyhow, there's some issues, and I'm not really sure what they are. But they've approached the town, and I think Ryan and Yvonne showed them the building, looked at it, and they're interested in renting it to move their practice in. And so I just wanted to throw that out to the council and see what you guys thought about that and what we might consider would be what we would want to charge them for rent. Whatever we charge them for rent would have to include utilities because we don't have any way of metering those things separately. So if you guys want to.
What kind of business is it?
The physical therapy
It's where you
people.
go for physical therapy.
Yeah.
That Rev, Phil, yeah, right over here on First Avenue.
I believe they want to put
I'd like
in
to
a
go there
physical
tomorrow.
therapy, plus they want to put in a gym rehab little section in there too. And it's that building that we started
Right.
renovating. It needs just carpet, correct?
Some kind of
Or
Some
flooring.
kind
It
of
just needs
flooring, and they have agreed or have discussed that they could possibly be interested in putting that foam flooring down, and then in giving them a break on their rent if they put the flooring in down there.
And don't they want to like maybe divide it up somehow?
Half of it they want to possibly do for like a gym, you can go and work out, and then the other side, they would treat patients with their physical therapy.
It already is divided.
It is a divider.
That's the room that
It has a
has
splitter
a
in it.
removable divider.
That's the perfect place for them.
Yeah, so
We need to make some revenue
Go ahead.
off of it too.
Mark, what's the zoning?
Ag?
Is that a permitted use in ag?
No.
So all this property is owned ag where we're sitting?
Yes.
How's that if it was a school?
Then we need to,
How do we rezone that, or can we?
Yeah, we'd have to,
Comp plan change probably too?
how would
we'd have to,
the school be
They must
ag?
have changed
well, it was
when we bought it.
1923 or something like that, it predated the zoning, so.
Most likely, I would anticipate the school property would be public use, which probably wouldn't allow a private business either. That's why I was thinking it might be a public use zoning. So we probably need to look at rezoning the property, because we don't want to set a precedent of people being able to put businesses on.
I agree with that.
Well, that's what we started repairing these buildings for, is to rent them out. They weren't just a decent.
I did not realize that this school property was zoned ag.
I wouldn't have thought so.
We might have to change the future land use.
What are the
We have
ramifications?
to
if
change
you
the
don't
land
change
use
the zone?
zoning, we might,
What are the
maybe we do a
ramifications if you don't
PD,
change the
something
zone?
like
I hate to
that.
go through the price of rezoning this whole piece of property we have here. That's not gonna be cheap, is it? And changing the land use?
Well, I mean, we're the town, so.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap. Just the advertising.
Yeah, I mean, we're the town.
We would just have to pay for the advertising in the paper to
I'm
pass.
just answering the question about the zoning.
Answer the
I
question
think-
about the zoning.
Right, this property is zoned ag, you should do a comp plan amendment and rezoning.
Okay, let's stop right there. If it's zoned ag, why is there a school on it? A school is not a permitted,
Could be enough.
The school
It's not a-
predated,
okay, why can't the
Yeah, predated the
be
zoning.
non-conforming?
excuse me?
Why can't the physical therapy be non-conforming if the school was non-conforming on ag properties?
It's being added now.
is the school predated the zoning. I mean, you guys should do a comp plan amendment and rezoning. In terms of the cost of that, I mean, you guys you're not going to pay an application fee to yourself. Right?
How long of a time period are we talking about that encompassing to change the zoning on this if we had to or decided to?
Probably a small scale land use.
Yeah, it'd be small scale. I would say about 90 days.
He's got the
Maybe 4 months.
Recommendation, 2 readings before you also, 2 months of approval process, more or less.
Well, down to the library out back,
How can they put a library on a piece of property that's
Zoned out.
ag,
Exactly.
they're non-conforming? Are they not?
Yeah,
Actually, we're non-conforming, aren't we?
not conforming. Yeah,
The city, so
yeah.
right?
Who's going to fine us? The city?
I think,
Is the town of Pierson going to fine us?
I think the point is,
But
if
here, the point
If you
is,
can
no, the
conform
city's
to
not
it,
gonna
why wouldn't
fine
you just do it?
Somebody
Why-
could challenge the use, and then you'd have to go, you'd have to go through the process.
right.
Change it, I have a question, changing the zoning, is that gonna change our property tax rates?
We don't pay property
We don't
tax
pay
because we're
property
a
tax.
municipality.
That's the other thing I was going to point out. Once you start putting private businesses in here,
You'll pay taxes.
They'll pay
You'll start
taxes,
paying taxes.
they'll pay taxes on the square footage that we rent out for commercial
Right,
use.
right. And you should
so-
certainly build that into your.
So that was my next point. We talked about this with the previous attorney.
Yeah.
We called the property appraiser. They want a boundary survey and they want a legal description for each child building because they have to be able to say, building 2, so many square feet is commercial, we're charging property tax on building 2. We did this at the bank. The bank, we paid 40-something% property tax on that building because of the bank. Christian argued with us that that was not necessary, that he talked to the property appraiser's office. Yvonne called the property appraiser's office. Christian never talked to them.
You talk to a receptionist.
And they said, yes, you still need to get a boundary survey, you still need to get descriptions. So I just feel like if we want to rent it, we should have done this a year ago, get the survey, change the zoning on it to be the proper zoning so that it's correct.
when do they need to move in by?
They're trying to move out
Well,
by,
we're not gonna be in their room
we're not
because
going to be in there.
they need to be out
window.
by April.
Yeah.
So that's not gonna work for us.
but the property taxes you don't pay until later. I mean, the property tax that you could deal with later.
Property taxes will be based on the condition of the property as of January 1st.
Right,
So taxes won't be due until next year
right.
on this issue. But I just think there's the right way and the wrong way to do it. And we can maybe get them, we can try to accommodate, if the goal is to accommodate them to get them in, but I think we could probably do that, but the goal needs to be to make this property conforming, especially because you're going to have other people come in and want to do businesses on property, and we're going to say, sorry, you don't have the right zoning, and they're saying, well, you have the same zoning you got.
Well,
Why can't you do it?
that was the
Well,
whole
that was the
point
whole
about,
idea of buying
the
this.
whole point of having this property was for that purpose. And that's why we've been putting new roofs on buildings and doing other repairs to buildings, so we could
So
lease
we
these
could build
buildings
them out.
out.
But
And I had no idea that this school was zoned ag.
But as we have seen time and time again, they did stuff with the intention of doing all these things, but no one did any of the legwork or the follow-through to make sure that it could be done that way. Like, so, for instance, I looked through Carmen's email. In 2016 or 2017, she was given an entire plan by the fire marshal that told her all the steps to take to get this building ready to be able to rent it to commercial entities. None of it has been done. The town was aware of it, and none of it was done.
Right.
So it's not like this is a surprise. It's just stuff that got kicked down the road, and we never did it, and we need to do it if we want to move forward.
I would
That's
say
just-
it's a surprise to me.
It was a surprise to me when I found it in the email, but
The land use and zoning.
And when the fire marshal visited and said he
The
went over
land
all
use and
this.
zoning issues were discussed with Wade Bose, and the
Right.
former mayor, at the time of purchase.
Right.
Several of us were not.
I was just waiting
Around
for
or
Scott to bring it up.
And,
But I mean, it's been through 3 attorneys and 2 mayors and 2 councils now, so let's just do it and stop talking about it and, you know.
Yeah, got to do it.
I think we need
Gotta
to
do it.
bring it into whatever the proper zoning would be, and that would probably be what, commercial?
I would think so.
Well,
But-
Mark will be here
What?
Thursday, so we'll put ourselves on the calendar.
But do you think that we could go ahead and accommodate them?
I don't know why we can't.
I think so. As long as
we
we're
need
going
to.
for, I think we can accommodate them as.
I think we need to accommodate.
I think
You
we
have
need
the
to
ability.
accommodate them too. They bring a good service to our community, a medical service.
So just for full disclosure, we did meet with them, and the reason that they're moving out, they pay about $1,050, I think he said now, a month in rent, plus utilities. They pay utilities in addition. I think he said that they were trying to raise their rent to $1,750, $1,650, $1,750. He said they didn't think they could swing a difference that large, based on the area and the clientele they serve, and, you know, so...
Well, I think last time we talked about it, we would talk about $500 or $600 when we were talking about
Beth?
with Beth, and that was for one room, which that would be 2 rooms, so I
Right.
mean, it would kind
He'd be
of,
getting,
Equal it out.
He'd be getting 2,500 square feet and 4 bathrooms.
yeah, because there's 2 in each.
But I don't see any reason why the town couldn't start him at what he's at now, because it's still 12 grand a year, and it's more than what we're making now.
Exactly.
But I would say, let's go through the process with Duke to try to get, if we're gonna get child parcels and all that stuff handled, let's get meters, separate meters. Because the library is doing that themselves. They've already contacted Duke Energy to start that process. So I would say let them be responsible. We had talked about the triple net thing where we would take out the utilities and the property taxes, but I would say, let's let them handle all their utilities.
Yeah,
Well, if we do the survey and we break it down how it's supposed to be, can we just label and do all this at the same time?
Supposedly you can do all that, and then Duke can come in, and once they have Duke wants to see that too. They want to see a legal
You're
description.
gonna retain ownership, you're not gonna try to sell them off as condos?
No.
I think what I would suggest is, I think we can accommodate them from the city's perspective. I don't know that you can accommodate them from the building code perspective, the building official, the fire marshal. They're gonna have to have a CO. And we're just the zoning side of this, and we're correcting the zoning side of this. Whether or not they can get a CO from the building official and the fire marshal sign off, that's a different question.
I mean, I think you should handle this just the way you would if you were renting this out as a retail space. You would basically agree to deliver the property in a certain condition, and then they're responsible for the build out.
Right.
You know, my wife and I, at one point in the past, we had retail stores for about 15 years. You know, we paid. The landlords don't pay for your AC. If you're, the AC unit is owned by the tenant and basically given to the landlord.
If the AC unit breaks, it's up to the tenant to
It's
replace
up to the
it,
tenant,
or whatever.
you know?
It's
I mean,
also-
we were always delivered a shell. We were given like 2 free months of rent, sometimes 3, depending upon what the amount of build out we were doing. And so we built that, you got 3 free months of rent, you built it out, and, all that stuff became the landlord's,
That's kind of what I discussed with Ryan and Yvonne, giving them 2 to 3 months of rent, and they're going to put the carpet in, and they're going to do any build-outs they want to do or whatever.
Well, because they're going to want to put up little, like, cubicle space for office and that kind of thing, and so they're going to have to probably, it's catered to them, right? So they'll have to do that, but...
Fixtures usually remain.
and so,
And the sheriff's office in Building 3, essentially, that's what, like, the fire marshal, that was all separate. Like, he got their life safety plan from them.
Right.
He went over all that. We weren't involved in any
Right.
of
We have
it.
to
So
do
it'll be
that-
the same with any business we rent.
exactly, I mean,
So
we
what we
had to
need to
do
do
the
is
fire
come up-
inspections, we had a place we had to sprinkle, that landlord didn't do that, we did all that.
Yeah, we can come up with a standard form lease we use.
I've got one, actually, from the previous attorney, but we probably have to change a lot of it, because I think it's a triple net lease.
Okay.
But I could send you what, they sent me a red line copy of something that they used.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine.
It could be a starting point.
So, yeah, what we need to do then is come up with a lease agreement specifying what they need to, are expected to do and
And in
move
the
on from
meantime,
there.
proceed on getting the zoning changed.
Rezoning
Yeah.
and
Also, the
survey.
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 So I can
Right,
contact
survey,
Atlantic, maybe.
What you saying?
Illegal.
Do we
Probably
need,
better
do
luck
we
than
need a
Beaufort.
motion
What?
to do that? I mean,
I think we do need a motion to get this property properly surveyed.
Yeah.
Yes. So I would entertain a motion to that effect.
I make a motion to start the process to get the rezoning and comp plan and survey and fire marshal stuff done for the entire town of Pierson complex.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made to get our town complex surveyed and all the other legal requirements done. Does everybody understand the motion? And it's been seconded by Councilman Jimmy Anderson. Roll call vote, please. Yvonne?
Councilwoman Brandy Peterson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lenny Richardson,
Yes.
Councilman Jimmy Anderson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robert Greenland.
Yes.
Mayor Gray Leonard.
Yes. Motion carried. All right.
Because they are helping a lot of people in this town.
They're definitely,
Yeah, we need to keep
I mean,
them.
we need to keep any
them.
medical
Yeah.
facilities that we have in this town operating. That's my feeling. Okay. Moving on to item number 5C.
E. E. 5E.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I'm not seeing good. My brain
Your
damage.
brain damage.
5E, disposal of glider and inoperable equipment. Councilwoman Lenny R. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we had discussed about scrapping the glider at the east end of the runway. It's still there. And then we had started the eviction process on the 3 owned by, is it Dave Howell? And I was talking to Ryan about it, and I guess Scott brought up a issue that a couple of those planes are in an LLC, not in Dave Howell's name. So do we need to notice
I
the
think
LLC?
We posted them, and the LLC and the individual have the same address. So it's, I think we're okay. What, talking with Ryan, I think the next step for us to do is, they were posted legally, it's been the 30 days. At this point, the law allows us, the city to, you can take and use them for your own use, which I don't think we want. We can trade them in on something, which my understanding is we don't want. So it leaves us with 2 options of either doing a public auction on them or contracting with a salvage company to come get them. And I would probably lump, I don't know if we've done a notice on the debris on the glider. I'd probably just put a notice on there.
We did it already.
You already did
a long time
the
ago.
glider within the trailer? Yeah, we've already taken care of that one, I believe.
You already did the notice? Then I would just put all those together. If we're gonna do a contract with a salvage company, take them all, or do a public auction, but just do it all together. And
I think someone has contacted staff.
Yeah, but
Right.
like Scott was saying, it would be a lot, then you gotta figure out how to run an auction. So do we want to do that, or do we want to just call a salvage company to haul it out of here?
Right.
That's up to you guys, but
Well,
I'm tired of looking at the,
we keep saying we could auction it, but we've been saying that for 8 months or 10 months, so are we ever, just scrap them?
no one knows how airworthy any of those planes are, and to sell them at an auction, I don't think you're gonna get anything out of them anyhow, because none of them have been
None of them
flight
run,
inspected.
right.
None of them are running, and
They have to come push them around with a vehicle or whatever.
I think I agree with the Vice Mayor
Just
that we need to.
Yeah, contact the salvage company.
Does anyone know a good salvage company that we could contact? So Scott, do we have to send a letter again to say that on this date they're gonna be,
I know we have to send a
Salvaged.
letter if we were doing a public auction. We had to give the owner notice of public auction. The benefit of the public auction to me is if they get very little value or no value, then you can go, no one comes to bids, then you can go to the salvage. But you can, if this guy comes back and say, hey, you destroyed 3 of my most valuable planes or something like that,
Right.
we can say, we did a public auction and that's the most we got, or we got 0, then we went salvage. So I know it'd be hard to do an auction. You may just have to get somebody who talks fast, to go up there and start, hey, how much you bid?
Could we advertise a sealed bids on it? And instead of doing like an open public auction?
I'd have to see if it's allowed. The state law regulates how it's conducted. It's
Okay.
on a date, and I can see if we could do sealed bids, but, we could, probably not too many people will show up, and the law says whoever buys it gets free and clear title. So they don't have to worry about ownership, and people may just be buying it for scrap material anyway. But at least it sets that we went through a process to determine market value, and that's what they came back at. We advertised, we had an auction. If you go to a salvage person, they charge you to haul it off.
Right.
Yeah.
And this way, you may not have to pay to haul it off. And I don't know if you're going to want to try to pursue whatever money's owed by this guy in the LLCs or not. But I think to show that we went through the process, we tried to get value for them, and this is the most we got. We offset that with what you owe us, and we followed a process to determine fair market value.
Was Mr. Howell contacted in writing by a former attorney, do you know?
He sent him a letter, yes.
Do we need to contact him a second time and let him know that on such and such a date, we're going to have a public auction?
I think the law requires us to.
Okay.
There's a lot more inoperable equipment in that barn. I don't know, I think Lewis was supposed to be getting a list.
Yeah, but we have to declare that as surplus, like Scott had said at a previous meeting, right?
Okay.
We just declared as surplus equipment, and then
This is y'all's equipment?
But we're talking about something different with the airplanes.
I think she's saying if we're gonna do an auction it all at one time.
Yes.
Oh, I
Instead of
got it.
having separate, is that what you're
Yes.
Maybe a good idea.
You have to lump it all together. I mean, we may be able to get.
Can those, I know that one glider's on a trailer, isn't it?
The one that's
Or it's on a
disassembled.
hauler or something?
It's not, there's one in the back that I don't know if it's ever been put together. It has no tail numbers. Y'all can't find any serial numbers on it. It's a mystery glider.
Can that be loaded onto a trailer?
It's on a trailer
It's
right
on a
now.
trailer. But I don't know if I'd haul the damn thing to the handy way.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Put it on another trailer,
They're dry rotted.
put it on another trailer and haul the thing to the, let the boys take it to the scrap place
Yeah.
there on US 1.
They might be somebody out there at the land airport that'd be interested in all them for parts,
There could be.
because them motors on them airplanes,
They're expensive.
they're expensive.
However the council wants to decide to proceed with this, it's up to you guys, and I agree with everybody that I think that stuff needs to go, and how you want to do it. If we want to try to do something tonight, or you want to bring it up formally on the agenda to do the auction, or however you want to do it at the next meeting.
How about, yes, we'll bring it up at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Maybe reach out to some auction companies. I don't know.
I can contact Roy Seeger over at Flagler Airport. I'll have a pretty good rapport with him and see if he knows,
Somebody
number
might want
one,
to.
how he would get rid of it at an auction. And also, if he knows anybody that was a reputable person, if we decided we had to salvage it. So I can reach out to Roy Seeger and get at least a little bit of advice or input from him, because
Yeah.
he's been over there taking care of that Flagler Airport for a long, long time, and he runs that thing. I mean, it runs like a well-oiled machine, so.
Well, he should be able to give you some
I think he would be who I would go to
Yeah.
at least get some ideas and who to contact. Do you
Mr.
think that
Mayor,
would be
Ryan
okay,
has a
Scott?
question.
Absolutely.
Okay.
My advice would be to, if we can try to find a way to somehow get public bids. We either salvage, we can't go just do a public bids on it, because the law doesn't allow that for the airplanes. We can do that for our own stuff. But this statutory law sets out the steps we gotta go through. So it's either a public auction or a salvage company. It's one or the other.
Okay.
And so,
Mr. Mayor, Ryan had a
I
question.
have a question for Scott. Scott, when we bring you a list of, like, if we bring a list of stuff to council to declare to surplus, does that have to, can that just be a simple agenda item? Are we doing that by resolution? How does that process work?
just a resolution, declaring a surplus.
Okay, so I need to prepare one before we bring it to council?
Prepare a resolution?
Yeah. With
Yeah,
all the
and you can just say
equipment listed
a
on there?
resolution, the commission hereby declares the attached list Exhibit A
Right.
as surplus and directs staff to dispose of it in the most appropriate way. Because I don't think you'll have a purchasing ordinance, and usually
No.
purchasing ordinances outline how you sell stuff
Right.
as well.
Yes, Brandy. Didn't
No, I was just letting you know Ryan had a question.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, we're good on that then. Okay, so as we stand now, I'll contact Mr. Seeger over at Flagler Airport and see if I can gain some information from him, and we'll have it put on the next agenda, and maybe we can be able to take care of it at
Great,
that time.
thank you.
All right, any other discussion on that before we move on? Okay, item number 5F, ordinance for water rate increase, and that's going to be Ryan.
Okay, so really what you have in front of you, we had talked about raising our water rates. According to Florida Rural Water, the Public Service Commission, they really recommend that you raise them by the price index every year. The price index changes. Usually it's out by March 31st, so we won't know what it is for the upcoming fiscal year till probably the end of this month. But I just kind of wanted everyone to have this to look over sort of where other people are. It's really all over the place. Like Astor, we'll just take the top one, for example. Just for reference, Pierson 1766, that's our base water rate. That includes the first 2,000 gallons of water, correct?
Right.
So now you're looking at Astor, for instance. Astor's base rate is $27.44. That doesn't include any usage. That's just their base bill. So if they use 1 gallon of water, they're paying $27.44 plus that $9.36.
So, yeah, so 3680.
Okay, so
Right.
the 36, or the $9.36 covers from 0 gallons to 6,000.
Well, per thousand.
Along with the,
But that's per thousand.
Oh, per
So in
thousand.
other words, from 0 to 1,000, it's 936.
Okay.
And then if you're 2,000, then it's another 936.
I got you. Okay.
And it kind of stacks.
That's per thousand gallons.
So basically your minimum bill is 3680.
Right. And that's up to 1,000 gallons of water, essentially. As soon as you go to 2,000, you're adding another $9 to that 36, whatever. Daytona Beach, same way, 1039 sounds like a great base rate, but then it's 592 for, the first 1,000 gallons of water. There are some people, like Daytona Beach Shores, their base rate is 3309, which is a little high, but with that, you get 3,000 gallons of water, basically. And then anything over 3,000 gallons, you pay an additional $10.87 per thousand. So it's kind of all over the place, but I just wanted you to see what comparable rates were in Volusia County. Some of them are really low, or they seem really low on their face value, but then you got to consider they also have sewer, stormwater. So if you triple all those things, their base bills are $84, $85,
This isn't sewage mixed with?
No, this is just
water.
everyone's water rates. So, like DeLand, for instance, $14 is their base water rate, but if you look up their sewage rate, it's about the same. So they're really paying double.
Right, but their minimum bill into land is actually 1669.
Yeah. So,
Lake Helen's proud of their water.
yeah, Lake Helen was a
They're
weird...
very proud of their
Lake Helen was a weird one. That was kind of an anomaly in the whole thing. I even researched that to see if that was right, and apparently it is.
And that's just for the water.
That's just for their water.
They don't have sewer.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
No choice.
But basically, the reason I bring this up is because we brought on a new water operator this year, CWS. They're about 3 times the price of Biometrics, which Biometrics, say what you want about their service, but they didn't raise their rate from 2005 until they ended in December. We paid the same $830 whatever a month. Now, that was just for their base service. Their invoice was always higher, because every other little thing they did for us, flushing, testing, it was all, But, so we've increased our water operator expenses by about, I don't know, probably 3 times what they were, and we're also about to bring a new well online. So you've got power at the new well, you've got chlorine at the new well, you've got maintenance on the new well. So I think that you're just going to have to consider that the water rates are going to have to go up along with the expenses just to keep you, and also they want you to do that anyway.
Right. When the rates were originally brought forward, they were structured to have an annual
increase.
And they just somehow didn't get in the ordinance.
It didn't make it into the ordinance, yeah.
Well, I don't like raising the price on anything anybody, better than anybody else does, but I think that we're obviously going to have to go up on our board.
Well, and we're also probably going to have to wait and see what the price index number is this year, because it's been steadily going down for the last 3 or 4 years. Like the big year was, I think, 21 or 22. It was like 7%. But this past year, I think it was 3.24 or 2.34, minimal. I mean, it would have only added a couple cents to each bill. So you may need to say, okay, the first year we're going to do an increase by this much, and then each additional year it'll go up, because I don't know that a 2% increase would really net you anything, I don't even know if it would cover the new biometrics or the new CWS bill, for instance. But it is something that we need to, every other municipality has it baked in, they go up by that much every year at least most of the time. I've noticed like Daytona Beach, their resolution on their website was a little bit vague, because they said that they went up by the price index, but their price index did not match the one at the Public Service Commission. It was like 5-point-something%. I don't know what price index they used or what they factored into that, but it didn't just go up by Public Service Commission's price index.
So all these other towns, they just have a flat rate for commercial and residential?
Well, some of them, they want you to contact them for commercial, like DeLand, I think, was one, or no, not DeLand. Someone wanted you to contact, Volusia County, because you'll see on here, like Deltona, DeBerry, Oak Hill, and Orange City, they all use Volusia County as their water provider. And they don't publish their commercial rates on their website. They want you to call their water department and discuss that. And then some cities, like, they charge a different rate for like a hotel or a resort versus like a normal business, because they assume a hotel resort's going to use way more water than a Starbucks, or So it's kind of all over the board, but I just kind of wanted people to see sort of where they were at. I mean, I don't think we have to go crazy, but I think it's still, based on Florida Rural Water's presentation to us in 2019 or whatever, like Mark said, it was designed to go up annually, and we just haven't done it. So
What I've seen in terms of water rates, your residential rate is based on gallons. Your non-resident, your commercial, industrial is based on meter size and pipe size.
yeah, a lot of them are.
Yeah, they don't measure the gallons. They just say, you have that size pipe, this is what you're paying.
What do you use?
Or they don't have a
5,000?
Or they don't have a tiered structure. In other words, they say if you're a commercial business, it's $10.37 per 1,000 gallons, regardless of whether you use 100,000 or 10,000, So they don't have like a graduated increase like the residential rates
Residential
do.
is usually the only one that has a step basis.
Right.
They call that a conservation incentive. The more you use, the more, the higher your rate goes. So the idea is to conserve water and keep it low. So they penalize you for using more.
But it is something I would like us to maybe mull over and kind of figure out where we want to be on it, and then we'll have to do an ordinance. And in addition to advertising it, Scott brought up that in addition to doing you have to advertise a public hearing, but you also have to put a note on your water bill letting residents know. So we kind of have to have far enough out advanced notice so that we can print it on bills, we can advertise it. But I'd like to get all of that done by, well, hopefully by the summer, because we start budgeting. I start budgeting in June, July. And, the fiscal year ends in September. So we'd like to have that done. So I'm assuming we probably won't raise it until September, or October 1st, really. So I'd just like to get it done by October 1st, so we know.
Well, our water rate is now 1766
For residential, yes.
for 2,000 gallons.
That's the base.
Well, for up to 2,000 gallons. So from a gallon to 2,000, it's the 1766, yeah.
You pay the 1766 whether you use 1 gallon or 1,900 gallons.
Right.
But keep in mind, if you use 2,001 gallons, that rounds up to 3,000 gallons. So you're
Right.
paying the next $4 and whatever it is.
63 cents.
Yeah.
right.
A lot of people call, we had someone call one time and they got mad because they said, I know my bill's not right every month because you're giving me a round number every month. And I'm like, right, because we round it up to the nearest 1,000 gallons. That's how that works. So, you only use 33 gallons of water, it's 1,000 gallons.
And you don't charge them per 1 gallon.
Right. Well, someone was it Astor or somebody that was charging wastewater at it was per gallon? We looked it up, it was something crazy.
Yeah,
I think it's their
Robin was
sewer.
telling us, yes.
Yeah,
it was
their sewer is per
ridiculous.
gallon. I don't know how that come about, but. So anyway, nothing on it tonight. I just kind of we'll maybe bring it back up
Yeah,
in a couple meetings.
We need to
and-
get this done.
I think
Don't get it.
do you think we need to have a workshop on this
We need to figure out
Get it.
what,
and discuss just that one thing at the workshop and get things rolling, or?
I think we need to start using our workshops as couple agenda items instead of one specific item. And I know, just throwing it out there, we need to do 4th of July workshop. We usually do that in March, start and get the ball rolling with that, so.
Maybe we could incorporate both of these then.
Right, that's what I was gonna suggest.
Yeah.
Instead of doing a one workshop for each little item we have.
I think that's a good idea. So-
And just keep in mind, anything we do at a workshop, it still has to come back to a full council meeting
Yes.
for us to vote on.
Right.
I think they're wanting a workshop just to
Just to discuss it more.
discuss
Discuss
the
it.
pricing and
Figure out
that
what
stuff.
the pricing
Correct,
Yeah,
right.
figure out where we need to be and all that kind of stuff.
Right, where we can
And
go
the
ahead and put it out
CPI
there.
comes
And then put
when?
it all out.
Usually by March 31st, so it might be a little late to do well, maybe not. I mean, how late do you think we could do a 4th of July workshop? Was the first week of April okay? That still gives us 3 months, or 2.5 months.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So you want to schedule a workshop on this,
And the water the 1st of April.
Sometime in the
April.
1st of April, yeah.
a date in April?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Normally, doesn't the fireworks people reach out to you guys with the new contract and their bid and everything? Have they done that yet? That's what I was gonna say. I know they do it usually in March.
Actually, I need to check out for
We already made the down payment for it.
Oh, yeah.
the down payment for it,
Okay.
because we've used the same people
Yeah,
for
yeah.
30 years.
4 seasons.
4
or something.
seasons.
Yeah.
They're local. We need to use them.
So you guys pick a date in April, and
What day's best for,
it doesn't, I don't have anything on my calendar right now in April, so it's whatever you want, Bobby or Brandy, Lenny, whatever you guys want to choose would be good with me.
first Monday is the 7th. But then the 8th is our first regular meeting. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, same.
I was gonna say, if you want to do it sometime that week, from between the 7th and the 11th, then you could bring it back to council the following Tuesday on the 15th, which is also tax day.
once you do that.
Yeah.
Our council meeting is on the 7th, or is it on April 1st?
Yeah, we
The
moved it.
first and the,
First and third Tuesdays, right?
yeah, so April 1st and then April 15th.
Right.
So if we do the workshop the 7th through the 11th,
Right.
we can make a decision and put it on the agenda for the 15th, for the next meeting. That makes sense?
Is the 7th okay then?
It's fine with me.
Monday?
What time are you looking at? Do I need to be at that?
You don't have to.
You don't have to be if you don't want to.
Okay. All right. I just have a planning board meeting at 6.
Yeah, I think so. 4 o'clock?
Okay.
Sounds good to me. 1,600.
Monday the 7th.
Monday the 7th. Yep.
Yep. 4/7/25 at 4 p.m. Workshop on water rates.
Yep.
Correct?
And 4th of July.
And 4th.
And the 4th of July, right, yeah. All righty, item number, anybody else have any discussion on that before we move on? Okay, item number 5G, updates. I don't really have a whole lot. I just want to let everybody know that the grand opening of the Little League season is on this Saturday. Yep, March the 8th. So if any of you guys would like to be there, it would be greatly appreciated. And I think one of the things that the Little League is wanting us to try to do is close that gate on Chipper Jones Lane coming in, because there's going to be all kind of kids running around and let the traffic come in off of 17. So I don't know if we want the guys to try to pull that gate shut on Friday night, or maybe one of them can be there Saturday morning.
Dustin told me it takes 2 of them to pull
Yeah.
that gate.
Okay, well, I know it's hard, yes.
That, Randy, not Randy, but, 2 of the women tried to shut it, and they couldn't shut it.
You can't even,
And
you can't even.
Dustin was over there working on it the other day, trying to clean up around it.
Yeah.
And get it to move,
Easier.
but he said it's still hard to shut.
Okay, so do we want them to try to close that gate
I
on
think
Friday evening?
That night,
Before-
We used to
about
shut,
the
we
time-
always used
shut
to
it.
shut those main gates during opening ceremonies, because there's just so many.
Yeah, but I mean, do we
Up there.
want them to shut it on Friday evening, Friday night, when they knock off?
Probably so.
Dusk.
Because people will still have to be able to access the playground even if that
but
gate.
they can get,
They can come in by the railroad track.
Yes, they can. But I think we're going to try to close that railroad track off that morning too.
Well, how are you gonna get the parents in there? I mean, you can't close off all the ways for people to pull in and out of there. They're gonna be coming in and out all day.
Yeah.
Oh, coming
So-
off 17, or I guess we can leave the railroad track open, because there shouldn't be any kids running around over there.
I wouldn't
No.
think.
No,
So we'll leave the railroad entrance open and 17 open, and close the
so
main
you
gate.
got that other entrance right there in front of Muller's too,
That's where they're gonna close the gate. That's the gate they wanna close, the one on Washington.
No, he's,
no,
he's talking about the
in
other
front
one.
of Muller's.
The one that
Oh,
goes-
yeah, that
Well,
goes
into the
into
outfield
the,
area.
yeah.
we'll
Lewis
just,
was talking to me the other day over there about that. By shutting the gate, he was thinking that we might need to think about later on putting lime rock from there to down through there. I told him I didn't think that would be a,
oh, right through the middle of that field, so to
Yeah.
speak. I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, I don't think.
I think if we did that, more people would go through there when it
Yeah.
rains.
Well,
Even with a little bit of lime rock on there, it'd still get boggy out there.
I think we'd be inviting more problems than we already have if we did that.
So I think we just leave the grass, because you can drive through there if it's a little bit wet,
Right,
as long as you go straight on through.
right.
But if you go to pulling out there in that field, like most of them horse trailers do, all they do is cause problems out there with the, if we had a roller, like they rolled out some of these roads and stuff, like the county's got one, the ball field people has got one, they rolled the clay. If we had one of them, we could, when they make a mess out there, you could run over it with that roller. But that's extra money that town don't have
Yeah, we
to
don't
buy.
have it, right.
Yeah.
While we're on the subject of that, Gray, real quick.
Yes, sir.
I thought she was going to put herself on the agenda, but she never emailed us. Either Katie or Kelsey, I can't remember now who we talked to. I think it was Katie. She wanted the town to not only close the gate on opening ceremony, she wanted to know could they close it for every home game. Now, my opinion is no, because it's a public ballpark.
Correct.
And I don't think anyone else in the county
I
closes.
mean, there's got to come a time where you got to watch your kid.
That was my
There's
thought.
just got to be
because
that
that's
time
what
in
she
life.
said. She said there's a lot of kids running around, and I thought it's a park. It's a ballpark.
Right.
I don't know how you stop that.
I don't think.
I don't have a problem personally trying to accommodate them on that opening day ceremony.
Right, yeah, right.
But I don't think we want to go closing that road every time we
Well,
have
there's
a ball game.
There's
there.
75 home games, so I just don't. If
No.
the boys have to go do it, it wouldn't be feasible anyway.
No, we can't. We can't.
And
do
two,
that.
that's something else. We never had that many games
Right.
up here in this park. Most of them was played in
I think they have a
Deltona
tremendous amount of teams.
Berlin Springs.
Got 8.
And now, they want to have more ball games here, which is good. People around here likes to watch the ball games. They always have. But that's just putting more work on somebody, whether the Little League or the town. One of the two.
I don't want to close those gates every time they have a ball
No.
game. I think closing it for the opening ceremonies when there probably might be an unusually large crowd, I think that's acceptable, but I don't think we need to close it every game. That's
No.
my opinion.
No.
Okay, so what we're going to do is ask Lewis and Dustin and them to close that thing up Friday evening.
And lock it, because
lock
if they don't lock it, somebody will open it.
And I did notice the other day that we just put padlocks on the garbage cans, and there at the ball field one, somebody already ripped one of them off of it. However, it was in the dugout, and I don't know how that happened, but it's,
Yeah, it
and I
is.
don't know what the answer to that is. Okay.
Them plastic garbage cans is not the way to go. You got to go back with them metal ones.
Now, the only good thing about the plastic ones is they don't dent, but
They don't beat up too bad, but
yeah. All right, I have any updates. Bobby, do you have anything?
No, you need to.
Wait, this goes
Go
to
to Ace
Scott
first.
first. Yeah.
I have nothing. No comments.
No?
The only thing I was gonna talk about was working with the staff on the airplane.
On the airplane.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to
That's okay.
shortchange you.
That's all right.
Vice Mayor, do you have anything else?
You got to go
You got
to,
to go to Mark.
Mark.
You got to follow the agenda.
Bump your head a little
I
hard.
guess I did.
The other council doesn't go until
I need
number
to look at
6.
my agenda. Mark,
I'll be here this Thursday to talk about land use and zoning. and
What's
I
that
guess-
date?
Excuse me?
what's that date?
The 6th?
Okay.
Sounds like you're gonna be talking to the city.
Yeah. We'll figure out what appropriate land use and zoning would be. May have to get creative. I think, and this may already happen, but this week the pressure switches are supposed to be done.
They're in. I think Keanu was either supposed to dial them in today. Sometime this week he's supposed to dial them in, but they're installed. Lewis went over and checked them today.
All right, so that's going to help with the tower pressure. Did get some bad news on the new water plant. It's taken them so long to put together the package and get the as-bills done that the test expired.
Oh, wow.
So they're going to have to, obviously this is all on SGS, but they're going to have to retest now. So, and I just found that out today. Todd did tell me that he's going to be meeting with a contractor to look at, to look at the stormwater at the school that I think that'll happen on Friday.
Okay. This Friday, you think?
This Friday.
Okay.
That's it. One other thing I do, I've reached out to Eford to bug him about the easement down on Hagstrom Road. Have not heard back from him. That's it.
That's all she wrote, huh? I do have something I'd like to ask you for an update on. What about the system that was going to connect the two wells?
They
So
talk
they
to
would
each other
operate
to
in
make
sync. We approved that, I believe, and everything is.
We didn't approve that. They were supposed to do a presentation on it, but they never did. SGS was supposed to present a telemetry system.
Okay.
They gave the former mayor a quote, but we never saw it, and they never did the presentation on it, but.
Okay, I thought, all right. I just,
I'll ask about it. We're going to be talking to him about the taxes.
so we pretty much need that to be operational for all those wells to sync up right, correctly?
No, it'll operate without it, because it'll be based on differential pressure, but you need the telemetry. It makes it a whole lot easier, But yes, no, the system is designed to work without the telemetry.
Okay. All right, now moving on. Vice Mayor, do you have anything?
Just one thing, Greg, the culvert on North Road, is that still hooked up with FEMA?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just curious about that.
I got an offer from FEMA on it, but our manager at FEMA told me not to accept it until he looks it over.
I got you.
I think they wanted to offer us like $45K toward it. So he said, let him look at that first and make sure, because he said if you sign it, that's it.
Right.
Have they
You know what I
came
mean?
back with
So-
anything on that school? Yeah,
No.
didn't FEMA look at that
Nothing
too?
yet about that.
Okay.
No.
How's that line, I haven't been out that way in a couple of weeks. How's that line block holding up?
Well, it's holding up fairly well, but it's rough.
Okay.
Yeah,
It could use
Is there anything we could do
straighten it
to
out a little bit.
Where?
Oh,
straighten it out a little bit, or you
I think
think?
everybody slows down now, so
Okay.
let's keep them slowing down.
All right, very good then.
That's all I have.
All right. Councilman Jimmy Anderson, do you have anything you need to discuss?
Yeah, go back towards the ball fields.
Okay.
Ray, we're gonna have to bite the bullet and hire somebody part-time anyway, when they really get everything goes to growing if the town's gonna keep helping them with the ball fields.
The Little League, I mean, to do those fields, it's going to take them maybe 45 minutes to an hour if they get out there and do them. I've done it myself. I did it when I coached softball. I lined them all the time. I mean, we keep saying that Public Works is so busy and they're just slammed. I don't agree with that. I mean, I get that it's fixing to be busy time, but I mean, where are we going to get the money to hire somebody part-time? Where's that going to come into play? I mean,
Addressing that too, Greg Dixon, he coached his boys,
Yeah.
probably been 10 years ago. He said he lined that field every game.
yeah, we lined them when we played.
Coach, yep.
There's no reason
There's no reason why they
When I
can't
coached.
line.
I agree with that. I think the coaches can do the baselines on those ball fields and the batter's boxes and so on and so forth, because when
That's just
Colin,
part of the job.
when Colin
Yeah.
played Little League, Jason Harkis set it up almost every game. I mean, he would go,
There's no
he'd go
reason
get
that
the
the
chalk
Little League
machine out and do it.
We did too.
Somebody on the Little League, parents, could come out there and help with the ball fields.
I think that we need to put the baseline
Now, the
and
mowing
stuff onto the
And
Little
the
League.
actual clay, sometimes they'll have plenty of time they could go over there and help with the clay with that machine. That machine don't take probably 15 minutes at the most to run around that thing and straighten it out. So,
Yes, Scott.
Do y'all have an agreement with Little League as to what your responsibility is, what
No,
their
we don't.
responsibility
no,
is?
not that I know of.
No, not
No,
We just kind of ontook that a couple years ago. Volusia County Parks and Rec handled
Used to
it.
handle it before.
Yes, and
Might be a
then
good
they
idea
kind
to
of give
have
it back to us,
An agreement
between
between the
us.
two, to say who's responsible for what. You know, in case a kid's out there playing and breaks his ankle running through the bases or something like that, who's responsible for?
Well, they got Little League
They got
insurance
insurance.
They got
for
insurance.
that, that
Okay.
They
covers
got
all that.
insurance.
So that we
that.
can put that in there that they need to have. I've got form ball field rental agreements that we've used before in other cities that I can send down here, and it's several pages and it gets into concessions. I don't know how detailed it is, y'all have it, but it might be a good form for staff to work from, but I just think it would be good to have an understanding of who's responsible for what.
Well, I think that's a great idea because, you know, I mean, Stacy and I talked and it was like, well, if the guys can't do it, we'll do it and that kind of stuff, you know, but as far as dragging the infield and things, but I think having some type of an understanding. or
Yeah, I'll
agreement.
send the staff.
What do you think?
Yeah, it'd be,
Just a form for
it
them
would be good,
to look at.
good to be able to
So
say,
we're not rebeating this
here,
horse
this
every
is our
single
agreement.
year.
I
When
agree
Little
with
League
you.
comes along, we
I
kind of
agree
know
with
who
you.
does what, and
Well, I sat here and listened to it, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know who's doing what.
I don't think we know who's doing what.
You're talking, I'm talking, so.
I don't know that we know 100% who's doing what.
They didn't seem too thrilled with the idea of them doing it, y'all didn't seem too thrilled with the idea of y'all doing it, but it was just the way I've sat there and observed it when y'all were talking back and forth.
Well, for a very long time, Volusia County came up and did all the clay dragging and stuff like that. And at one time, they even did more than that. But for the last several years, they have drugged the clay on the infields. And this year, they're like everybody else. They didn't have the personnel all the time, or the funding to do it, and so forth, is what they explained to me. But
So they wanted us to.
Well, and another thing that comes into play, I mean, if you're gonna go all the way back to Volusia County, when they did it, we had to buy tokens for the lights, and now those lights are free to them. They don't pay a dime for none of that, right? We pay that.
We pay that, yeah.
So, I mean, you gotta consider that too.
we're the only ballpark in Volusia County that's free play. And I think that maybe that, you know, if we're gonna have to start hiring a part-time person, or we're gonna have to do this,
We're gonna
whatever,
have-
that we're gonna have to start charging them
Charging us.
something comparative to what every other place is charging them.
Because
Because
in spring, when they play ball down there, they have to pay to play.
I think most every town, didn't we do, almost every city's like that, Ryan?
Yeah, so now my question is, does that correlate to why all of a sudden there's a ton of games in Pearson and not other
Exactly,
fields?
Probably.
Because
exactly.
none of the other teams are now
Because
having
they
to pay
don't
their
That's
restricted
exactly
field
why.
either.
Well, and a lot of those fields are senior fields and major fields because they have the lights. We don't have lights, so they can't play none of them games up here, so they have to be during the day. I mean, not that that matters, but.
What I've seen.
But my thing is too, is these kids that play Little League here, they're from Seville, they're from Astor, they're from Barberville, they're from DeLeon Springs. Some of them live out there almost in Deland on Marsh Road. I mean,
Right.
and then the town of Pierson absorbs this whole cost, and, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I love the sport, I've coached it, I don't want to put the pressure back on them, but in this day of age, it may be something we
Well, I
have to
think that's
end
why
up
we
doing.
need to think about pay to play, because I brought that point up to the gentleman from the county, Dave, and he said, well, you know, all the other cities are the same way. I mean, Newsom, Martin, or DeLand, or whatever, they got kids, not every kid that plays lives in that city. And, but that's why I think we need to maybe entertain some type of pay to play to help offset our costs. Our light bills over there are quite high when they start running those lights. Lenny, do you have anything?
I have a couple things,
All right.
Mr. Mayor, thank
Sorry.
you. So we're having a reoccurring issue at the women's bathroom at Chipper Jones Park. Someone likes to go in there and defecate on the floor. So, and I know this has happened 4 or 5 times recently. I know we cannot put a mirror up in the bathroom, but I have a feeling whoever's doing this is the same person.
Probably.
I thought if we can put a camera up outside the building and see if we don't see a pattern here, maybe we can do something about it. Also this morning, Chris, somebody decided to go in the men's bathroom and break a bunch of soda bottles. So maybe a camera would be a deterrent.
Could we legally put a camera on the exterior of the bathrooms to photo people going in and out?
Yes.
We had one on there.
We've had them there before.
Okay.
They just died and nobody's replaced them.
Well, and I agree. I think we need to,
Put one up. Another thing, I'm getting complaints every time I go to the dollar store or Pierson Supply. When is the sheriff's office gonna do something about the people driving 30, 40 miles an hour over posted speed limits? Lori's Pierson scared to death. She said somebody's gonna crash through her house. They drag race side by side on County Road 3. Hagstrom Road looks like a drag strip.
Shaw Lake Road is
Shaw Lake
horrible.
Road is horrible. I was here last week one day when school let out, and two vehicles came down the front of this building, and if they weren't running 55 miles an hour, they weren't there. With your blessing, may I contact the lieutenant and talk to him about this?
of course.
Okay.
You don't need my
Yeah,
blessing.
a lot of the school kids now are using Shaw Lake Road to beat, I mean, they fly on Shaw Lake Road to get
Yeah,
up
the
to
old,
17.
the old.
And it ain't
bridge
just
of,
kids. The FedEx
No.
trucks around here and the Amazon trucks just blow my mind. I mean,
I've had,
I was cutting mag every day. I was like, there's the FedEx truck. Here he comes.
I saw somebody had posted on Facebook, I think, about how fast the FedEx and Amazon trucks have been driving.
Yeah, that's.
We would really appreciate some real attention on the speeding issues here in town.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we can do what we can do, but in order for us to enforce it, we obviously have to be there.
All right, I realize that.
But if they're moving, instead of sitting behind the Lions Club for 3 and 4 hours at a time, you might catch some. Right?
I can't speak for other people, but.
I mean, that's just the truth.
Or
Maybe we
especially at
could,
those times. I mean, on
Correct.
Wednesdays, it's 2:30. On all the other days, it's
It's
3:35. They're coming past my house on Blake Street, getting it. And in the mornings. I mean, if
Normally
you want to
it-
sit there at 8:15 in the morning, you can write you some tickets for the whole
Normally
month
it
right there in
happens.
one day.
Pre-admission at school and when the school is discharged or they get out, is when I see it.
Yeah, discharged when they get out.
Yeah, one thing, if you talk to Hoffman, I remember several years ago, we were having a really bad problem with this, and the sheriff's office brought up their traffic units with some motorcycle deputies and stuff, and they really nailed a lot of people for like a couple weeks on different days, and that slowed it down for a long time.
For a long time. But this is something that needs to be done daily. I mean, it's,
But I mean, if they bring up the motor units and
motors
stuff and
division.
really nail them, it might slow them down again for a little while.
a little while.
But I think I agree with you, we've got a problem.
I'll really visit and I'll see if our lieutenant would be willing to send up a motor unit.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anything
I
else?
have nothing further. Thank you.
Brandy,
Well,
do you
I
have
have a
something?
couple things.
Okay.
North Road Park doors, I know we ordered them. Did they ever come in?
Not yet.
Did they give us a time frame on that? I mean,
Like
North
3
Road Park's
weeks or
been
4
closed
weeks,
since
but-
Milton.
It was like 3 or 4 weeks, but something happened and we had to Lewis had to go out and remeasure them or something. I don't
Okay.
know what it was, but they're ordered. I paid for them already. Well, I paid for half of them.
Now, is there something wrong with the doors that's over there right now?
Yes, they won't close. They put wood doors on them
Well,
and
2
they
of the doors
expanded.
completely broke
Yeah.
into 2 pieces.
Right.
They're not even a door anymore.
They were like
One
just
door.
wooden doors, and then they swelled and wouldn't open and close, and now I guess they're
Yeah, they're
broken.
split.
Well, see, there's no overhang to.
Right.
Well, we shouldn't have put wood doors there. We should put metal doors there
That's
because
what
it's
we got.
outside.
That's
And
what-
that's why we just ordered them.
Yeah.
Because these doors only lasted 2 years. That's on there now.
Right.
The other question I had is about the asphalt for the potholes. Have we, I mean, I know there's like a time and a cold and hot.
You know, I think Lewis was gonna take care of that and order the asphalt for those holes when the weather warmed up. So, Jimmy, could you check on that at Public Works and see about?
We used to get some of that patching in 5-gallon cans that actually worked pretty good.
Well, I think
But
he
I
gets a
don't think you
truckload
could
for
get-
like
We
$175.
get a dump truck load.
Yeah, Halifax or
There's enough of holes
P&S,
scattered around. I know there's one on
North Road.
two on North Road.
There's some on Van Oak Road.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a cavern on Blake Street at Washington Avenue and Blake Street there, I mean, there's a big chunk missing there.
There's a bunch of places, before I got sick, I was gonna go around and just kind of write down the holes in the places, because right off 6th Avenue on North Road, if we don't put something there, we're gonna be repaving a road, because it's gonna eat it all completely out. There's already like a big tunnel there, I mean, like a,
Yeah, it's probably about that
Yeah.
wide, about that deep, right on
Right.
the edge of the road.
well, no, this is right in the middle of the road.
Oh, yeah, I know what we were talking about. It's right on the yellow line, basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Other than that, the only other thing I had down is 5K, March 15th. Is that still going on, the 5K in the area? Just wanted to remind you to put it on the events or for everybody to know. And that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, Jimmy, would you make sure that they check on that asphalt, please? All right, thank you.
Yeah, it's warmed up enough now.
Yeah.
They can
Well,
put
I
it
knew
out.
he said there was parameters about wet and cold.
If you get it when it's cold outside, before you can get here and get it all out of that truck,
It's all pumping together.
it's harder than a rock.
Okay, moving on, good and welfare public participation. Is there anybody in the audience that has anything they would like to bring up at this time? Okay. Pierson events, item number 8. We've already talked about that, but I just want to remind everybody about the opening festival day at Little League, March the 8th, starts at 10 a.m. And we're having a Pierson vendor market on Saturday, March the 15th, from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. And the Pierson Saddle Club has a event on Saturday, March the 29th, 2025 at 11 a.m. And our next meeting's coming up. The next regular council meeting will be on March the 18th, 6:30 p.m. And again on Tuesday, April 1st at 6:30 p.m. And currently there's a planning commission meeting scheduled for Tuesday, March the 25th at 6 p.m. Does anybody have anything else? Being no further business, we're adjourned.